Hi, shalom friends. We live in the age of symbols and logos. I don't think there's a person today who doesn't recognize the symbol of Apple, even McDonald's, the golden arch. Everyone knows the swirl of Coca-Cola. It's amazing how looking at just a symbol immediately comes a whole idea behind it. I would suggest that most educated people, if they see the Star of David, in Hebrew Magen David, they would immediately say Israel, Judaism, Jews, synagogue, something absolutely connected to our tradition. And one commentator very wryly remarked, why is the Star of David so symbolic of Judaism? And he said, because it has 6 points. Each one is pointing in a different direction. So as you've heard, 2 Jews is more than 2 opinions, 3, 4, maybe even 5. The Star of David is wonderful. The Jewish people, everyone has an opinion on a different direction. Okay, that's cute. But actually there is a symbol of Judaism, of Jewish unity especially, and that's the symbol of a menorah, the golden candelabra. This is biblical. It's mentioned in the book of Exodus, and this golden menorah found its home in the house of God, and for over 1,300 years of Jewish history was actually lit in the house of God. Today we have a holiday called Hanukkah, very famous, where we light a Chanukiah, some type of a candelabra of 8, to remind us of the menorah, the golden candelabra that was lit daily in the Holy Temple. So let's examine the menorah a little bit deeper to see this idea of Jewish unity. First of all, as you probably recall, the menorah has 7 lamps. Now, if I were to think of maybe a symbol of unity, I would think of maybe of one gigantic torch. But it's not like that. There are actually 7 lamps, and each lamp has its own position. So essentially, if you're going from right to left, there are really one completely to the right, one completely to the left, one in the middle. And our sages point out that these 7 lamps, which were filled with oil and had a wick and then was lit by a priest, these 7 lamps symbolize 7 types of personalities. Whether we use the Kabbalistic terminology of those that are inclined to kindness or severity or to beauty, or whether we just simply say that there are different types of peoples, different perspectives, different ways to understand, the menorah symbolizes not unity of thought, but actually diversity of thought, diversity of feeling. And yet, the beauty of it is, it's not like the Star of David, which is pointing in different directions. The beauty of it is, they're all on the same level, and they're all actually shedding light from the top upwards. What's the secret? The secret is that the 7 lamps are joined in the middle. So essentially we have an aspect of unity. There's something that deeply connects the Jewish people, whether it be the soul, the tradition, the customs of Israel, and yet through the different ways of living and different countries in which they live in, they express these eternal truths in different ways and see it in different forms. So once again, we have 7 lamps, 7 personalities, each one shedding a light. Not only each one is shedding a light, but each light is on the same level as the other lamp. So we have this beautiful thought that there are 7 ways, which encompasses the entire spectrum of Jewish thought and philosophy, 7 forms of expressing godly light, and they are all equal in the light that they shed, because deep down they're all deeply connected. Well, I would like to examine one law of this menorah to derive another lesson. And that is, when the lamp was lit, it was usually lit by a Kohen, though it didn't have to be lit by a Kohen, but it was lit by a Kohen who would stand up on a stand. They had a special stand where he would take a step upwards, and then he would light the lamp. And the rabbis point out that there's these 2 aspects, what I mentioned, are actually law. that he cannot, even if he was tall, he should not light the menorah while standing on the floor. No, he should go up a step to light the menorah. And though it would seem obvious that when you light a lamp, you don't want to just touch the flame to the wick and go away because it could flicker and go out. It would seem obvious that you have to hold the flame to the wick so it remains burning. Yet there's a special emphasis that this is so. What does this teach us? One of the lessons it teaches us is that each and every one of us have within ourselves a golden menorah or a golden lamp. This lamp is already filled with oil. It's already, it has a container, which is the Jewish body. And it has the oil of the godly flame, and it has a wick. And it's ready to shed light, godly light. But the wick does not burst into a flame unless it's exposed to a fire. And here we have this idea that every single Jew is capable of lighting that lamp, not only within himself, but of a neighbor or of an acquaintance, even if it's a chance occurrence. When you meet someone and you share, whether it be a smile or a word of Torah or an act of kindness, and you act together in unison, one Jew to another Jew, one human to another human, actually you are lighting the flame that this person has. You don't have to teach him about God or about goodness or about Torah or about mitzvahs. You just have to expose him to it. And on its own, he will immediately get enthused. Now, this is not mystical. This is practical. Try it yourself. You will see that if you give your neighbor a mezuzah, more often than not, he'll be very, very happy. Thank you for thinking about me. Where should I put it up? If you invite him to light the Shabbos candles, her to light the Shabbos candles, or for a man, would you like to put on tefillin? Even if it's just a one-time episode, he readily agrees. Because you don't have to create anything with him. He has the lamp, he has the oil, he has the wick. All you did was actually allow him to feel the flame. But sometimes we get away with it by just a smile or just what they call sometimes bageling. You meet a Jew in you're shopping and someone just comes over to you and says, "Hi, is that kosher?" They're obviously reaching out to you. They actually want to connect to you as a Jew. Over here we're told, if you're able to, don't just smile back and say shalom, so you lit the candle and he feels good, but perhaps he could spend another couple of seconds or maybe a minute or two trying to make that flame that just briefly flickered, perhaps it could become a little bit more enduring. So perhaps we could start a conversation. Or perhaps there could be something a little bit more sincere. Hi, are you in the neighborhood? And so on. So this idea of lighting the menorah, though it would seem obvious that when you light the flame, it should remain lit, we're told and encouraged that this is something that we should make part of our encountering. Don't only light the flame, make sure that the flame stays lit, of course, if you can. And this idea of lighting someone else's candle actually creates an elevation within you. And that's what the symbolism of the person lighting the menorah actually stood on a step. He was lifted higher than the actual floor of the sanctuary. Or to paraphrase a thought from our holy Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he would often counsel young couples to go out and to perpetuate Judaism, and he would use the expression of, make it bright by others and your own house will be bright. Warm up others, it will be warm by you. Make others happy, mach andere fröhlich, and you yourself will find yourself being in an uplifted mood. So friends, we all have the menorah within us. It's up to us to light our own candle. And we should be reminded as well that someone else is waiting for our candle to light his. Shalom.